Good morning, campers. Just want to bring you to a slight little bit of news that I've got. Now we're all talking about Fukushima and how is it getting covered up. I mean, that's why some of you guys are watching this video. You're saying, "Oh, there's no news about Fukushima," and you're probably searching the web in search of information. And of course, we sort of look at Greenpeace, and lots of people are angry with Greenpeace and others, and they're saying, "Well, why aren't they, getting out there and telling us about this stuff? What's happening here?" And I've been guilty of that actually. I've been angry with Greenpeace and things because of the lack of nuclear news that they're getting out. And sorry, Greenpeace, because I've actually found out why. The actual technical aspects of how this happened. So I'm going to zero in here on the Science Media Centre UK, which is based in London. Actually, it has bits here and there. There's Brighton is where the sort of some of it is as well, the address. But the bottom line is that it started up 10 years ago, and it's a charity, and it basically wasn't submitting accounts for 10 years that were on the internet. And I think that's because they're just a very small income coming in, and I think there's some sort of get out that you don't have to submit accounts or something, but they've only got accounts for the last 2 years, and really after Fukushima. So what happened was I looked into this a bit further, and it's turned into a bit of a thing. Alright, so as I looked into the accounts in the charity website in 2011, they mentioned Fukushima, and they said that they were very proud that they got an emergency team and sort of good backup science support for the media, and during the Fukushima, I think they called it incident and tsunami, or something like that, a bland word. It wasn't a nuclear disaster or a meltdown or anything else. And they were really proud that they sorted out all the bad science that was going around at the time, and that was people saying things like, "Well, there is a meltdown there," and they were saying, "No, there's no meltdown." No, TEPCO was saying no meltdown, and the BBC was saying no meltdown, and no health effects and these other things. And this was basically because the scientists, after about 2 days, you probably saw Chris Busby on there for a couple of days initially, and other sort of people, and all of a sudden the news stopped in America and in the UK a couple of days in, and then it was getting harder and harder to find sort of decent information, because people were just saying there's no meltdown, and we all saw the what was happening over there, and we knew it was quite bad, and we were getting science reports here and there. And anyway, then CRERAD brought out on April 12th, CRERAD brought out their warning to pregnant women and young children in France, which would have included for the whole of Europe. And they also said that 10 times worse it would be in America, so there would probably be nobody drinking the milk in America. But anyway, that was the science that was going on that I could see, and in reality, the BBC and all the tabloids, most of the tabloids, pressed out this information. It was coming from certain scientists, that we know. There's Geraldine Thomas. You've seen her at 6 p.m. on talking about bananas and nuts and cigarettes and saying how bad they were, and radiation from Fukushima isn't a problem in comparison. Well, there was Richard Wakeford saying that the doses aren't high enough, and all this type of stuff. Well, I'm not going to go into that right now, but what I will say is that I'm just going to give you a little breakdown of who funds the Science Media Centre UK, and that would be basically the people that have funded it were Monsanto, and in Monsanto they supply science advisors for GMO advice. Okay, that you don't get the anti-GMO guys. And if they do, they just say, oh, they're anti-GMO and therefore any findings they find is wrong. But the pro-GMO guys are allowed to do it, and that is the right science. And this is the Science Media Centre doing science better than the media, or something like that. Then we've got EDF, and indeed EDF nuclear. We can say that science advisors are from the nuclear industry, with the exception of Geraldine Thomas, and she's from the sort of the health industry, but it is nuclear health. But maybe we can find another connection with her. So basically, we've got Shell, and we're talking fracking in the Arctic, right? So if you think fracking's bad, and these studies coming out from America and in England, we're going, no problem with fracking. And Arctic as well. Obviously, no mention of Greenpeace, and very little mention of Greenpeace and what they're trying to do to stop Gazprom and Shell destroying the Arctic with an oil disaster, which is likely to happen in the conditions you find there. We also found funding the Science Media Centre, Pfizer and Dow Chemicals. Yes, the Bhopal and Pfizer. And you can think, well, why are the press doing anodine promotions and vaccination promotions and all sorts? We don't see people saying that vaccines are bad, or what the hell do you want to take an anodine a day for? Try your diet. I don't know. I have no idea. But those people aren't allowed to say their piece. Imperial College. Oh yeah, Imperial College. That's where the Chernobyl tissue bank is, and Geraldine Thomas. And actually the Imperial College University basically also promotes the SMC. You go on their website, they're promoting the SMC. Cracking little video, I copied it. I'll post it up later at some point with some others. BBC also funded, it's BBC Worldwide actually, the private end of the BBC, and and the SMC trains the BBC journalists in how to do science journalism. More importantly, how to contact their advisors who work for the corporations. Okay, I think I suppose I might as well mention that the two people, Fiona Fox and her friend, who I forget at the moment, both worked for the BBC. Well, one did a bit, I think, an internship with them. I think that was Fiona Fox, I think. And the other one is presently one of the department heads, I think, in the BBC, of one department or other. I'm not sure which. I do have all the links and details. Also, we're talking about there's been no science from independent scientists. Large, Fairley, Busby. There are others, but we don't see them. And Greenpeace, CRERAD, as far as I'm aware, Bellona in Norway, the big sort of. Well, actually, I'll come back to Bellona. Yeah, and so basically. The SMC and the BBC, and they kind of support one another in terms of personnel and the corporation. So I would say that I looked at the charity accounts, and they're only around for the last 2 years. So and they have got £250,000 in a year. And they're only getting small payments so that they can say that that none of these huge corporations, Coca-Cola and all the others, that are paying this small amount of money to the SMC to provide scientists is fair and unbiased science. It's the real science, I think, the right science. I think there's a quote from Ms. Fox, and I mean basically. Then I sort of found Miss Fox in the Leveson inquiry about phone hacking. I've been hacked if you watch my other videos, and I got hacked at the same time as this Leveson, the Daily Mail phone hacking squad were doing their job, And then basically the police were found to be holding the corporations that were doing hacking, which might have explained my 300% increase in insurance. But they found the corporations' insurance and what have you were using the police system, which was the tempora system, I believe. So they were holding that back because they couldn't talk about tempora, where the insurance were getting their information from, and it kind of why the press and the government have reached a stalemate, if you like. But Mrs. Fox turned up there because, you know, obviously they couldn't actually. The police did a lot of arrests and there's court cases going through. So basically, what happened was that stopped Leveson calling witnesses from those court cases. So the hacking thing never really got dealt with properly by Leveson. But Mrs. Fox was there, and she basically just attacked the science media and saying that we know better than the media does about science, and stuff like that. And she even drew up some proposals for how the media should be doing science. Now that's kind of not a free and fair press. It's in scientific terms, we're shutting down debate and allowing corporations to make the right science, and then we kind of have to trust that, and there'll be no oversight. So if you're okay with that, you're probably okay with the SMC. And of course the SMC was in Japan, and it closed down when the thyroid issues came up. When I say closed down, I think it's still running, but they closed their website down because it's a bit embarrassing. Kind of half expecting the SMC in UK to do that at some point, but yeah, just make sure if you do an investigation on them, copy all their videos. Best thing to do is use one of these cameras because they're not downloadable very easily. Anyway, so yeah, that's it really. And yeah, there's been lots of little interesting things going on in my life, and I'm being very busy. So to nuclearnews.net people that were wondering what the hell I've been doing, and I've been doing some strange posts and things like this. I'm basically doing a lot of research, as you can see. I've been reading 2,000-page Leveson report, you know, and very interesting stuff about about how to kill science. That's the way I look at it. Anyway, I'm going to leave this quite a short video. I was just letting you know what was going on. Obviously, my YouTube guys are going to get this, and yeah, once again, that's why I've been very quiet. And I think one or two of you know what I've been digging around in. So we're getting there now. I'm getting there now, and I will definitely post up probably a few articles, because I can't believe how huge this is. This is quite big. SMCs, which were around for about 10 years, all of a sudden, bang, they become big. They're getting funded by all the corporations. Science dies on the news. The Leveson inquiry happens. They don't look at the hacking because they can't, because of tempora, which we know about now, but they still can't look at it because we can't actually admit it. And yeah, you certainly won't get any advisors going on talking about tempora, which is the GCHQ's spy system, which is apparently much better than the NSA one. Something to be proud of, perhaps, unless you're the target of it. So yeah, well, that's it really. Yeah, I'm feeling like Alex Jones. I'm getting paranoid. This is the sort of stuff George Monbiot used to do, actually, isn't it? This kind of research, just before he became a Science Media Centre spokesman. Sorry, George. See you later, anyway.